January movies are usually known as Hollywood's dumping ground, but honestly, it wasn't too bad this month. We actually got some bangers, we got some solid surprises as well, and of course, a couple of trash ones. However, it wasn't that bad of a month for January 2026. So here is my list of the January movies I watched. Return to Silent Hill. I didn't play the video game at all, so I don't know anything about the video game, but I didn't even want to review this movie after watching it because it's that bad. It's just to a point where it's just not even worth time to even do it, and probably didn't worth time to watch it either. And if I did review this movie, it would have been 0 out of 5 snacks. That's how bad it was. Main character gets this letter from his love interest, and he actually has to return back to Silent Hill to see what's going on. And when he gets there, it's just not the same as it was when he first left. Now it's a more desolate city. They have all these creatures walking around, and that's where the story picks up. The story was convoluted. The acting was bad. The visuals was horrible because the green screen was cheap and the effects looked cheap. And it just looked like they didn't put no ounce of sweat, blood, and tears to try to make this movie be even decent. It just like they just made a movie just to make a video game movie, and hopefully that makes money off of a cheap budget. And it does look cheap, like a very cheap movie. And the movie's not even that scary. Like the main character goes through these situations, and it's not even really a dire situation to the point where you see these monsters and creatures pop up, and it's basically like more shock value for the character when it's jump scares. It's not even scary, and you just know the character is going to move on. And there's dream sequences in this movie that doesn't even connect to the story where you think it would, but it doesn't. It is a very convoluted, messy film, and I just feel really bad for anybody who plays the video game of this franchise because I feel like you guys are not really getting what you guys are deserved. I believe there's actually a good story here if there was someone that came in here and actually took it seriously, but unfortunately it doesn't, and it's nothing about this movie that's even redeemable. And I'm sorry for you fans out there that loves this video game, but I don't even want to recommend this for you guys. Maybe you guys will like it because you get the Easter eggs and all that stuff, but yeah, for anyone outside that never played the game, it's not even worth your time. Maybe you watch it for streaming for a good laugh or two, but other than that, it's not really worth watching.
You were literally too stupid to insult.
Thank you.
Greenland 2 Migration. And after watching the first film and seeing these characters trying to escape to find Greenland from rest of the world that was about to get hit by an asteroid, I was very interested to see what they're going to do with the sequel of this film. And now we see them picking up, and they're trying to figure out if the place they're at right now is even worth staying there because the air is getting more toxic and very hard to breathe. And basically, you're going to start just killing off of people. So now they have to find a new spot to live in. And they actually found this asteroid that's supposed to be like starting up the world again, where it's actually have breathable air. You can grow crops and have water, fresh, clean water there. So now this is their journey of this family going there to get there before things get worse for them. The highlights of this film is the performances from Gerard Butler and also Morena Baccarin. I thought they were absolutely fantastic in this film when it comes to all the dramatic moments that they had to do. I thought they did a great job. There's some solid visuals in this film as well. And the movie does get some intense moments while these characters are going through basically a whole bunch of different scenarios that can basically see the end of them. But one thing about this movie and the downfall of this film is that they do this repeatedly where they put these characters in very difficult situations. Doesn't matter what it is, they somehow going to survive. And it just becomes to a point where it doesn't matter what they throw at them, what this world throws at them, the storm or, characters fighting. Just the bad, dark parts of humanity when it comes to how people are treating other people. It seemed like it didn't really matter what situation they were in. They were going to be okay. And that's what kind of made the film kind of lose its steam, and it killed a lot of momentum for me because there's a lot of things that were doing in this film I thought was very high tense moments. But when you keep doing it over and over again and there's really no stakes involved at all, you kind of lose interest in the film and it kind of becomes boring. And that's what I was very disappointed because the lead of the film is really good and the intensities in some situations are very high at times. But they do it so many times that it just loses the interest of you and you just know what's going to happen with the characters. And it is very predictable as well when it comes to the ending of the film. Then with them repeating things over and over again, it kind of hurts the film because everything that they did in the first act of the film, bringing out the story and the characters and where they are at a certain time, it just falls out of steam, and then it just becomes a part where you just hope the movie ends pretty soon because you know what's going to happen at the end of the film because it's very predictable as well. However, the first act of the film was very good, and I think if you did like the first film, you might enjoy this one as well. So I definitely would say check this one out when it comes out in streaming. Mercy, the new Chris Pratt movie where he plays a cop who's on trial for killing his wife. But the kicker is the judge of the court is actually a AI judge played by Rebecca Ferguson. And this movie starts off where LA is in basically the near future. And apparently court cases and crime got so high that they say, they store away judges and lawyers and all this stuff. And this has AI judge basically do all the small petty crimes or big crimes for us because we don't have time to actually pay people and do stuff and have time to actually trial people properly. So maybe we can cut time and cut resources if we have AI do it. And this is where we are with this film. And the highlight of this film is where you actually go on this mystery solving this case with Chris Pratt's character. You actually go onto different crime scenes. You actually do all this stuff with him. But the thing about this movie that he's in a chair, and it's basically he's in a chair for the whole entire movie. And how long can it really last until it gets boring? Well, they try to do some things, and I thought they set up very well, like I said before, that let you go through all the evidence. And I think that was really kind of cool, where you can actually do an interactive when it comes to breaking down this mystery. You actually go through some of the crime scenes. You start seeing certain things that's evidence. It could be either good towards Chris Pratt's character or bad, because he has to get to a certain percentage down to where he can find himself actually not guilty and be innocent for the crime. If he can show that, he can get his percentage down to, I think it was like 92%. If he can do that, then he's actually innocent. So he actually goes through this mystery, go and find all these files and videos and try to see exactly who, why, and what happened to his wife. And that's where everything kind of gets slowed down, because how long can you do that with a guy in a chair? And the movie loses steam because of that element of the film. Like I said before, how long can you go with a guy sitting in the chair? So they start introducing other story plot lines and other characters to try to fill in those 90 minutes and show that, maybe there's someone out there who actually did the killing and try to figure out exactly why they did that. But the problem with this film, it repeats that over and over again. And also it's predictable. We find out exactly who did the killing. And then once they reveal that, they try to add like a little twist at the end of the film, because it's trying to show that AI, like, this is not just the best way to handle these cases. You got to put more than black and white. You have to bring the gray where there's involving feelings. And that was something that I was not really expecting either. Seeing the AI actually start having feelings towards what they did in the past and previous cases. And I thought that was kind of like a wild swing for them. Why they try to piece this mystery together. And with all that, the performances from Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson was really good. And if you like mystery films, and if you can sit there and watch a guy in a chair for like 90 minutes, this is the movie for you.
How tall are you, Private? Sir, 5'9", sir! 5'9", I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
Shelter, a new Jason Statham classic where, he plays the same old guy, same old tough guy. But this time, no job though, no blue-collar job this time. He plays an assassin who lives on a remote, isolated island in Scotland, where he's trying to stay away from everybody for a certain reason. And he has this girl who comes up and give him supply from the mainland. And unfortunately, something happens to where the MI6 finds out his location, and the movie pursues to where they are on the run. And one of the things that I like about this film, and it's something that I usually don't get in Jason Statham films, is how great that chemistry he and Brody Ray Barthnek was actually in this film. Yes, the acting of this film is one of the highlights of this film.
What's up, dog?
Not much, dog. What's up with you?
I'm here to pick up Casey, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
He does an amazing job showing the chemistry between him and Brody. I thought they did a great job showing how the relationship grew from the beginning they met to the end of the film. And also when it comes to all the tense moments that they did go through throughout the film, you actually feel it because they did a great job developing these characters. The action in this film is always good. Nothing special or anything like that, but I just love seeing Jason Statham doing hand-to-hand combat fighting, just mowing down guys. And that's why you go see these films. But the negatives of this film, as always, is how these films actually go. Yeah, it's predictable. Yeah, the action gets to the point where it's like, okay, it's repeat stuff all over again. And it feels like this movie has two different scripts because it contradicts itself a couple of times where are they MSX is coming after Jason Statham's character, or are they coming after Brody Rojas Breathnick's character? And it doesn't really mesh well when you're trying to pay attention and going along with this movie, and he's saying, okay, who are they really going after? No one did quality control to figure out exactly what the main purpose of MI6 is coming at these guys. Apparently not. But all of that, it's still a good action flick to watch. And I definitely recommend if you like Jason Statham movies and you actually want to see him act and have chemistry with a character for dramatic roles, this is the movie for you. Dead Man's Wire, an intense, true story about Tony Kurzwick, who is a guy who felt like his landing company was screwing him over, trying to get a piece of land back from him. And the main character of the story is played by Bill Skarsgård, and he actually does an amazing job on playing this character. And it's one of the films that a lot of people didn't really know about because the distribution company did not advertise this film well at all, so it kind of went under the radar. But the movie is basically this guy goes into the landing company's office trying to meet the owner of the company, who was played by Al Pacino. But unfortunately, he is not there. But his son is, who's played by Dark Montgomery. And so he takes him instead, and he actually puts a shotgun to his neck that has a wire going down to him. And that's where we get to where it'd be both shots would kill both guys. And hey, Dead Man's Wire, right? Best parts about this film is the dramatic moments and the dramatic acting from Bill Skarsgård in this film, and also from Montgomery. I thought they did a great job when it comes to their chemistry. And also with the secondary characters like Al Pacino, Coleman Domingo, two others. The entire cast was absolutely fantastic. One thing I was not really expecting at all is how the humor was in this film. It's very dark humor and it's very funny at times. I really wasn't expecting that. I thought it'd be more of an intense film because of the situation, but it was more like a lighthearted film. And it does get to the point where the movie does get a little tiresome, only because you got these two characters in his room and he's trying to get all these demands and all this stuff. And it gets to the point where like, okay, all right, we get it. But after the first part of the second act, the movie kind of drags a little bit and it loses its momentum because it doesn't really know what it wants to do. It's kind of stuck in one place. And it finally gets to the part when it gets to the end in the third act, and it kind of felt like everything was lost. And I think that's where the movie kind of hurts a little bit overall, because the performances from the cast and also the humor in this film, I thought it was a very good job. And, as I said, if it wasn't just for the uneven execution of the second part of the second act, this probably would have been one of the best films starting off in 2026. The Wrecking Crew, an Amazon Prime streaming film. Yeah, I usually don't do streaming films, but when you got a studded cast as Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa, you kind of got to watch it and review it, right? That's what we got to do. But this movie starts off with these two half brothers who are basically their relationship is strained. However, they got to come together because something happens to their father, where he basically is killed uninterruptedly, and they have to figure out the mystery of why somebody was trying to take down his father. And the thing about this movie and the highlight about this is basically the chemistry of Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa. And their chemistry actually carries the film. I love the banters, the one-lines, the things they were doing, showing these brothers. And it kind of has like this Bad Boys vibe to it, to where you got these two characters at opposite ends of the spectrum. And they got to figure a way how to work together in order to figure out this mystery. And I thought that was the cool part about it. Another thing great about this movie is the action pieces. They did a great job when it comes to the action, and you got a great director, Angel Manuel Soto. He's very good at bringing certain elements when it comes to the action, but also developing his characters. But the action in this movie is very good. You actually see everything. There's no shaky cam. It's very brutal. It's very bloody. It's a lot of fun, and it's a perfect action movie. And also, there's a lot of good comedy in this film when it comes to the one-liners and the jokes and them picking on each other and the banter between these characters. And that was another thing that Soto brought, that he did a great job. And finally, the family element, which he showed in a Blue Beetle, where you show that family aspect, they had that here too. And I thought that was another good element piece to the film, and overall, enjoy the watch. However, the movie does have some downsides. Yeah, it is predictable. Yeah, it gets crazy at times with the action and the blood and the jokes and all that stuff and the one-liners. And I can see somebody being turned off if you don't like these type of films. But other than that, I thought it was a good film to watch, and it's a good time to just chill and eat some good snacks and just turn off your mind for a couple hours.
Redheads! You gotta love them!
The Rip. Yeah, I know. Another streaming movie, right? However, whenever you get Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in a movie, you have to see it. You have to see what they're going to do. The chemistry is always on fire, and it doesn't really matter what kind of genre of film it is. It's going to be something interesting and fun to watch. And then when it comes to this film, they play these cops that are in Miami, and they get a tip about some money that's being stored at a certain house. So now they go on and see where this money's at. They figure out where the money's located. And it comes to when they find out how much money is really there, it becomes this very intense paranoia story of if they're going to take it or not. Who can you trust? Who you cannot trust? And is there someone else trying to play the game of trying to take this money? And this is what this movie does a great job with, is building the story, having these characters develop enough to where you care about them and have them understand exactly why there's a possibility that a person could take it and why someone may not take it as well. I thought they did a good job illustrating that when it comes to all the characters in this film. The secondary characters are very good too. You got Tiana Taylor, you got Steven Yeun in this movie, also Kyle Chandler. It's just a great cast. But the movie is so good is when they are building those moments, those tense moments, those dramatic moments where you just don't know who's going to do what, who's lying, who's not, who is going to be trying to take this money, and basically why they're trying to take this money. And that was the first act of the films, and that was like the peak part of this film. And when they start getting to the end of the second act and down to the third act, is when the movie starts falling off the rails a little bit. Is once they start repeating the plot multiple times to the point where it's very nauseating. And I thought that was kind of weird, but after hearing an interview from Matt Damon, they saying that Netflix actually asked them to do that because they know their audience don't pay attention. They're scrolling on their phone and not watching the movie. Yeah, I can see why you got to repeat the plot of the movie because you got to keep your audience engaged. But it comes to the point where it actually hurts the film because once you got somebody who's actually paying attention to the movie and they like, why are you repeating the same thing over and over again? It becomes tiresome and it loses steam of what you built in the first two acts. And then when you get to the third act and you have the huge action piece, I thought the two action pieces in the film were really good, but the last one was a little bit too much for me and a lot of shaky cam. And it doesn't really piece everything together perfectly, what everything they were building up in the beginning of the film. And I thought that's what hurts the film. But overall, I thought it was a good film that Netflix produced and kind of hope they do another one, but this time put it in the movie theaters and actually make some money off of it. But hey, who knows? Primate, a bonkers, gory horror surprise that turns this lovable chimp named Ben into a nightmare, and it has this Cujo feels, but like I said before, the blood and gore is up to 11, and that was something I was not really expecting of this film, and that was one of the peak levels about this film was how the kills were done. But they do it to where the characters in this film are built up enough for you to care for them, so when they get teared apart by Ben, there's some actual feelings told. Yes, they do got some characters in this film that just there just to get ripped up to shot by Ben. And yeah, the story is not really cohesive at all in any kind of way sometimes, but it's just the characters and the jump scares and the tense moments of, will Ben find him or not? What they're going to do when they're trapped in this pool. There's certain things that is very simple, but just executed very well and made this movie very enjoyable to watch. But I think even though with the dumb logic that pops up in this film, fans will still enjoy this film because it's just one of those horror films that you just can't keep your eyes off the screen. Because one, you don't know what Ben's going to strike or how he's going to strike. And two, you just want to see these characters survive. And some of them don't. And that's the fun part about this film.
Lucy. Bad. Bad. Bad.
It's not Ben anymore.
Send help. Sam Raimi finally gets to go full Raimi. And with this crazy survival thriller, dark comedy, and horror chaos of a film. And this movie is basically a employee named Linda, played by Rachel McAdams, who's due for her promotion, but her boss passes away and his son takes over, named Bradley, played by Dylan O'Brien. He doesn't think that she lives up to the new company standards, but he gives her opportunity to actually show that why she is worth this promotion by going on this business trip to close the deal. And while they go on this trip, the plane that they're on it goes through the storm and it crashes down in Asia where they are stranded on this island. And the movie becomes a bait and switch where you see the characters switch roles where Linda is now the boss and you get Bradley who's now kind of trying to survive out of this chaotic situation that he's in. And what I like about that, because it shows the characters switch roles very slowly. Linda gives Bradley opportunity to, hey, just be normal. We can survive this and make it. And Bradley's still showing that he's a douchebag at certain times where he just can't let go. And I thought that was good because it builds up the characters in this movie to where you understand where they're at. There's a lot of moments in this movie where there's a lot of intense moments. You just don't know what's going to happen between the characters. The gore in this film is at a level where it's all Sam Raimi, especially with the part with the pig. But that was absolutely gory and gross in the same time. Is one of the funniest scenes in our entire movie, but it does not worry about taking big swings at all, as I think it knows that it can make a decent hit, and it actually does in this film. And also the comedy in this film is a lot of moments where it's very fun. It's not very your typical Raimi scary movie, but it's more intense thriller film rather than a horror film, but it does have those horror elements in it, and it uses the comedy to kind of lighten up those modes, and those scenes are very fun. Third act does get a little silly and we get a lot of more crazy gore and action pieces with it. I think it does a good job landing what they were trying to do. If you like Sam Raimi films and you understand how he does his movies and you like it, I think you actually will enjoy this film. And even if you don't, I think you should at least check it out. So I think it's a good time. "28 years later, The Bone Temple." And this comes right after the movie 28 Years Later, which was kind of mixed bags for a lot of the audience and the critics. And I was wanting to know exactly what they were going to do. After 28 Years Later, I was like, maybe we need a fresh start. And that's where Nia DaCosta comes in and she takes the reign to bring her own fresh ideas, but also maintaining why we love this franchise so much when it comes to Defective, when it comes to the killings in the movie, how gory it is, the tense moments, when it comes to building tension, the character development, and also when it comes to the needle drops when it comes in the film. She actually brings her own thing and it actually works. And as an 80s kid, I just love the music that she put in. You know, I love Duran Duran, I love Radiohead, I love Iron Maiden, so I thought that was really cool. But the things that actually make this movie really good is the character development and actually seeing the things that was actually going on with it affected when it comes to involving their story, when it comes to Samson, who is the alpha of the Effective. Now we see where that story could be leading on to the next film. But the performances for Ray Fiennes and Jack O'Connor were absolutely superb in this film. Ray Fiennes is always amazing, doesn't matter what he does, and what he does in the third act in the film is absolutely amazing. But he brings that humor element, and they have this great building relationship that he has with Samson. I thought that was really compelling and fun to watch. And when it comes to Jack O'Connor and his crew, I thought they were very scary at moments, even more scary and intense than Effective themselves. And there's some scenes where it's very gory and they take it to a level where I thought they would never do in this franchise. And I thought it was very perfect to let you know that sometimes humanity could be darker than Infected. And I thought they illustrated it very well. And every time he was on screen, you just never know what he's going to do. And you felt for Spike when it comes in this movie, played by Alfie Williams, and you just don't know what's going to happen to the kid because he just wants to go home. But he has to somehow, some way, just survive this crazy roller coaster that he's on. But everything they did in the movie got me real excited to see what they're going to do in the third film. And I really hope people go see this movie. It's not really doing well in the box office at all, but hopefully the word of mouth can get this movie to another level to where it makes some money. Or if it doesn't make money at the box office, at least it does a good job in streaming to where the studios feel very confident to making the third film in this trilogy. But overall, this is probably the best film so far in this franchise. And I can see some people also agreeing with me as well with that. And I just hope to see the next third of films. I think we're finally going to get a breakthrough when it comes to Defected and also the story when it comes to Spike. And yeah, I think this might be one of the best films that's going to be talked about at the end of the year. Not expecting any awards, anything like that, but you just never know. I mean, could be one of the films that we're talking about at the end of the year that's one of the best of 2026. So that's my rankings for January movies. And let me know in the comment section below which movies you enjoy and which ones you hate for January 2026. And also, give us a like and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. And until then, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking your time in your day. Until the next time I see you, keep munching, keep watching movies, good or bad, but always keep it real. Take care and goodbye.